Hey there. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I am so excited because Mara Heichman is with me, my dear friend and genius counselor. She is a professional counselor by trade, and we are going to talk today about change. We live in a world right now where if someone was going to tell us that this was going to happen in November of 2019,
Mhm.
we would have said they were crazy, right?
Right, right.
So
Yeah, change is inevitable. I mean, we're all going to experience it. We've already experienced change today. The sun was not out this morning, then it was out, then it's cold, then it's not. It really is constant, and it's about ebbing and flowing with the change and navigating the change. One of the things you just said is that change when change doesn't happen in a vacuum, it spills out into all areas of our life. So this pandemic, for instance, it didn't just affect your personal life, it affected your professional life, it affected your relationships with other people, it affects all of those things, it affects how we view the world. And so much of it is about us making sure that we're checking in with ourselves to navigate the change and not resisting the change. We go ahead.
right.
What were you gonna
And
say?
that's what I was going to say is Mara's a life coach. So how do we deal with this in our life?
So one of it is being open to change. If you look back at yourself 5 years ago, are you different now than you were 5 years ago?
Absolutely.
For sure,
Absolutely.
for sure. There's a song that I love that says, "Every 5 years or so, I look back on my life and I have a good laugh." And it's things that we don't necessarily think we would laugh about, right? But we do things or things happen and we maybe think we're going to act one way, but we don't. We cannot predict how we're going to navigate change. If someone said to me, "Oh, you're going to be locked inside for 3 months and not be allowed to go see people or hug people," I would have said, "Oh my gosh, that sounds like torture. That's awful. That's." I ended up enjoying a lot of it believe me, for what it was. But still, I think that it's really important for people to realize we can't always anticipate. If you experience a loss, you might think this loss is going to, you know, slay you. But the truth of the matter is that those traumatic events, those transform us, and often into extremely positive ways. Extremely positive ways. It's really important that we make sense of the changes, though. Talking about it, like how many conversations have you had about the last 2 years, right?
Right.
And it's important to talk about it. It's important to process it and bounce it off of people and
That's
our
a
loved
that's a
ones.
great idea.
Yes, yes. Not only talking about it, but also some people write music about it. Some people sing about it. Some people journal about it. I think we all have artistic and creative sides, and we don't realize how much we process through that. I mean, artists are artists because they are emoting in their art form, right?
Right.
Well, I might not be an artist, but I'm my own
Yeah.
creator, right?
Right.
And I can, and there's things I can do better than others, but by emoting some of that and working through some of my feelings about things in a creative way, it can also be very helpful.
And I think you talked about keeping our minds open. I think, we have to talk about mindset and how you look at it as
Oh,
um, as an opportunity or as something awful. So
right. So when we see things as problems, 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 I mean, then we're in it like this. Whereas if we see it as, oh, opportunities and looking, and we do as humans, there's pieces of us that resist change, but there's pieces of us that seek change. Why do we go out? Why do we travel? Why do we go to new events and try to meet new people? We want new experiences. We do
right.
want change. It's when change happens that we don't think we want or that we didn't anticipate, but we can't anticipate all of it. So much of it is what we can control, which is how we're perceiving it and our perspective on it. So there goes back to the processing of it when we are feeling what we perceive as negative emotions or negative events, processing that and working through it and accepting it or being more open to some of the other things that might come from that allows us to navigate it better.
So when you say processing, explain that a little more. Like, how do we process this?
So,
I just lost my job.
uh-huh,
I'm devastated.
uh-huh,
What
uh-huh.
do I do with that?
Uh-huh. So everyone's different and there's no one way out or through a problem or an issue. And so there's no one right way to grieve. There's no one right. And it's not a straight line. It's not like you're sad, sad, sad. And then one day you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm fine with it. You might feel good some days and other days. So some of it is navigating that. Know your resources, know who your trusted people are, know your trusted tools in your toolbox. If you like to go for walks outside or a run, or if you like to listen to sad music and have a good cry, or if you like to talk to your friend or your mom, but know those things, but also start to give yourself maybe a time limit of how long you're going to spend wallowing or being sad, and allow yourself to kind of, okay, start to set yourself those little forward moving goals, because guess what, the world's going on around you regardless, right?
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right. And how about gratitude? We'll get gratitude in there.
So research shows that, like, as we get older, our personalities really do change. Like,
Hmm.
yes. So it used to be this myth that we like stop changing at 30. If anything, it's very, very gradual. But if anything, research shows that like our moods improve and
Hmm.
our ability to be more gracious improves. It doesn't mean that we don't have a filter, or it doesn't mean we don't say things, but some of our neuroticisms or anxieties start to decrease over time too.
Really?
And people who practice gratitude, I mean, it's a really easy, small practice, but people who do what they have, where they are, with what they've got right now, are more able to move forward than the people are saying, but I don't have this anymore, but I don't have that anymore, but I want this, but I want that. Okay, but I have this, and this is where I am. And gosh, I'm really grateful that I have these things. And how do I keep moving forward?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a really good point to deal with these kinds of things, because we have to take a deep breath and count our blessings that we can breathe. I
Right.
was listening to a meditation and she was saying just the fact that you are able to take a breath. Do we ever think about that? Slow
Oh,
down and think about,
oh, absolutely, absolutely. And just, I mean, really, this last couple of years, if you have your health, I mean, your health is so, so important to your ability to take care of yourself. But if there are things that are going on that you can change or adjust, the little tweaks go a long way. So, for instance, your health. If you walk for 15 minutes 4 times a week, that's more than walking nothing the week
that's right.
before. And those little changes, and when you walk, you might be more likely to eat better, or you might be more likely to hydrate more, again, than not in a vacuum. Then you might be more happy at the grocery store, or you might, so those little things that we can control really matter.
I love that. I love that. Think about, well, if you went to work out, then you're going to think twice about eating sugar. Then
Uh-huh.
it's sort of like the mouse and the cookie. Then you're going to think,
Right,
well, I put in all this effort. I'm not going to undo all that.
right,
And maybe I'll sit down and meditate for a few minutes or
right,
listen to something motivational, or
right,
and as you feel happy, it's like a snowball.
right.
the happier you feel. And that's not to say you're not going to go dump down, but
No, no, right? But we are more resilient when we
mhm,
it's a muscle. It our if you think of your immune system as being something that you have to get sick in order for your immune system to get strong, right?
okay,
We have an emotional or psychological immune system. We have to have things happen to us for us
right,
to weather those storms. If you've never, ever, ever had a problem and you go through high school and college and you're 25, and then at 26, something happens to you, but you've never not made a team or lost a friend or experienced a breakup, you're going to be devastated. But
right.
if you've weathered some of those storms, when that thing happens, maybe you're not as devastated, you're more resilient. And our brains are much more malleable than we realize. Much
Mhm.
more. We are much more able. It's a muscle. And we have
That's
to
really
use it just
interesting.
like we have to use it to do our reading or our Sudoku. We have to use it to deal with our emotions. And navigating change brings up so many emotions.
And, if you think back in history, I always think, how did these people manage through that? Or, even in our recent history,
So right
how
So research shows also that by comparing what we're going through to something else that sounds traumatic or awful, it helps give us a perspective and it helps us see where we are, so it really does. That's part of it. That's part of the processing is distancing ourselves a little bit from how awful it is or going away from it a little bit and looking at it from a different perspective
right?
helps.
I mean, and even in recent history, how many homes were destroyed in Colorado?
Right,
How many, and just natural things that have happened, we're
right.
not even talking about gun violence, but
Right. Oh,
just
right.
and how do these people survive? But they do. And yes, they survive. They get help and they find comfort from other people. And but I know I've heard so many times people say, in the middle of something horrible, they are surrounded by so much love that they're like they're overwhelmed with the outpouring, is the way they always talk about
Absolutely.
kindness.
Absolutely, the kindness, and in the end, we really are so much more alike than we are different, and we
Right.
really do we all are looking to connect and feel understood and feel seen and feel heard, and when we do that with a fellow person, it makes a big difference.
Huge difference. Huge
Yeah,
difference.
yeah, yeah.
I, um, anything else?
Let me
Parting
look.
words?
I took a couple notes and wanted to make sure that we got
Okay. Make
something.
sure
So let
you
me
get
I don't know. I think the only other thing I would say is we touched on it a little bit is we have the growth mindset and we have a fixed mindset. And we're a little bit of everything. I mean, we really are. It's not like I'm only growth mindset or I'm only fixed, but when those changes happen, being open and then believing we're capable, the people who believe they're capable of it know that they can look for tools, look for resources, do the hard work and move forward. The fixed mindset is, well, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. For instance,
right.
I was not athletic as a kid, and if I said to myself, I'm not athletic, I may never work out ever because I'm not athletic. But the
Right.
truth of the matter is there's plenty of things that I can do that might not be softball or
Right.
dodgeball, not my favorite, but that I can do
Right.
that makes me feel strong and healthy and solid and all of those things. But if my fixed mindset, if I'm not athletic, it's not
Right.
helpful. You have to, it's I think I can.
And you're going down a horrible route. Maybe you won't be one of those guys that does that ski jumping
Yeah.
off the
No,
cliffs.
no,
And I,
I
I,
don't
I always wonder how somebody got into that. You go home and say, "Hey,
know.
mom, I want to take cliff jumping or whatever."
Right? It's crazy. Great. I'm
But
glad it's other people.
right, but yeah, and I like that you said, because I always think of myself as, oh, I'm open minded. But there are things I am sure that I'm not open to mind. This is non-negotiable.
Of course.
And I think we have to be aware and always, like you said, questioning.
Right. Aware and almost more like curious and non-judgmental of
Right.
ourselves
I love
and,
that.
and compassionate. We really, the being compassionate to ourselves when we are dealing with difficult emotions or limiting beliefs or a fixed
Mhm.
mindset, all of those things. That's part of being human, and being compassionate
Right.
to ourselves works. So really nice talking to you. Do you have
Nice
anything else?
talking to you. And, anybody, if they're going through anything and they need a life coach, I highly recommend Mara. Just give her a call, give me a call. This is on my website, it's on my Facebook page if anybody needs to get a hold of her.
Yeah.
You will be very, very happy. She is amazing at what she does.
Oh,
So thank you
that's
so much. Thank
Betsy,
you.
thank
Everybody have a
you.
good weekend.
Thank you. Have a
Take
good day.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.